Alright, in the world of TV that I watch, we got a new season of The Flash starting in a few days. Yeah, it's not all Marvel all the time, I like DC stuff too. And I figured I can't really talk about Arrow. I'd like to talk about Arrow, but I can't really because it's already 4 seasons in. But I can talk about The Flash because it's just starting its 2nd season in a few days. Besides, The Flash is more fun. The Flash, Season 1. So this is a TV show about the DC comic book character, The Flash. He's the fastest man alive. We got Barry Allen, played by Grant Gustin, who was perfectly cast. He's a forensic scientist. He works for the Central City Police Department. He's a really likable, dorky kind of dude. So one day, he's at home. He sees this huge, weird explosion going off somewhere in the distance. He gets struck by a lightning bolt. He gets knocked back, unconscious. He wakes up 9 months later. He's got these super fast reflexes. And the origin story goes on from there. Now, I actually really like this show. I like the characters. I like the action. I like the overall arc of the season. Of course, like any 22 episode long season, it does have its flaws. I'll get to those later though. Let's first talk about the crew. The characters in this show were so fun to just hang out with every week. Cisco Ramon was the most relatable of them all because he always says what the audience was thinking. Caitlin Snow was the kind of closed off chick with her walls up who will eventually melt down by the end of the season. And we got Harrison Wells, who seems to know a bit more about Barry Allen than he probably should. And so they're the crew at Star Labs, and they're taking out these metahumans who were other people who were affected by this huge weird explosion by this particle accelerator. That's the first half of the season. You know, it's Freak of the Week type stuff. It's like Smallville, but I was really enjoying it. And of course, in a superhero show, there's gotta be the love interest. In this case, it's Iris West, who's really hot. And actually, one of the things I really liked about the show is that it didn't go in the predictable route. One of my predictions was that Barry and Iris would end up together by the end of the season, because that's what always happens. But that's not what happened in this case. Throughout pretty much the entire season, Iris is in a relationship with another guy, Eddie Thawne, who also works in the Central City Police Department. But Eddie's a nice guy. He and Barry are friends, so he doesn't want to interfere with them. He just loves Iris that way. Now let's talk about the action in the show because it's really cool. I love seeing the Flash do his thing when he's running really fast. You see the lightning behind him and the music's kicking on. When he's taking out bad guys, it's pretty much exactly how I thought it would go down in live action. Running around, punching guys really fast like Dash from The Incredibles. And about halfway through the season, like around Christmas time, the show starts dealing with the Reverse Flash, and that's when the overall story arc of the season starts really kicking on. And it's really cool. It deals with time travel and the Speed Force and all these like supernatural powers. I mean, let us not forget that this show takes place in the same universe as Arrow, which is a really realistic, grounded show. So I like now that we have the really realistic, dark, brooding, real show, and in the same universe we have this fun, bright, supernatural comic book show. That's cool. One of my favorite episodes of the season was Tricksters, when Mark Hamill guest starred, because I guess back in 1990 there was an old Flash TV show where Mark Hamill was the bad guy in one of the episodes, so he came back to pretty much play the same bad guy but older in this show. And there's a scene where he's talking with this like younger Trickster, and he actually says, "I am your father." Just to hear Mark Hamill say that line like that was like a complete nerdgasm moment. It blew my mind, yeah. And of course, with 2 shows taking place in the same universe, they gotta have some crossover episodes. And I actually did videos on that 2-night crossover event, The Flash vs. Arrow. I did videos on those episodes, so you can check those out if you want to. Now, the season finale of the show, there's a lot to talk about, so I'm gonna try to condense it to what really matters. Basically, the Flash has the chance to go back in time to rescue his mother from being killed by the Reverse Flash. So he does, and when he goes back in time, he goes through this kind of wormhole type thing, and you see a bunch of shit just going on. You see Caitlin Snow as Killer Frost. You see this Flash museum. So I knew that Caitlin Snow was going to be Killer Frost sometime down the line in the show. It might not be until later in season 2. It might be till season 4 or something like that. Don't do all this shit now. Wait it out. And so he goes back to the night his mother was killed, but he doesn't rescue her because he sees this other Flash is like, no, don't do it. So Reverse Flash is about to go back to his own time, but you see the Flash come right through the wormhole, just he breaks his time machine apart. You're like, holy shit. He's like,
you could have had everything you've ever wanted. Why didn't you rescue your mother?
Barry's like, I already have everything I want. And then the 2 start fighting, but then Eddie Thawne, who is actually the Reverse Flash's great grandfather, he sacrifices himself so that the Reverse Flash will just never exist. Now, from the beginning of the season, I always predicted that Eddie Thawne would be like the Tommy in Arrow season 1. Like, I always kind of figured he would just die at the end of the season. That just kind of fit in my mind that way. Pretty much so Barry and Iris could be together. And I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen like in season 2, maybe halfway through, but I mean, that's not the only thing that we got out of that. This whole timeline was one that Eobard Thawne, who is the Reverse Flash, created. He went back in time, he fucked with Barry Allen's life, and so now that Eobard Thawne just doesn't exist anymore, this wormhole comes out of nowhere and just devours this entire world. Yeah, that's not good. So the Flash runs up there, he goes, and he's like, I'm gonna stop this thing, and then boom, cliffhanger. I love it when seasons end in cliffhangers. You're like, what's gonna happen? Are we gonna get a new timeline? Are the characters gonna remember any any of this? Is Eddie Thawne gonna live? You just don't know. Overall, Flash Season 1 was really enjoyable, although it did have its flaws. There were some really cheesy moments in there, oh my god. Any scene with the Flash talking with Iris like in the beginning of the season, there was so much cheese in there. It was too cliche, and at a point I was like, it's kind of bringing it down a little bit. That's pretty much the only flaw though. I like the score, I like the theme to this show. When the Flash is running, the music's all like it was catchy shit. So the Flash Season 1 was really fun. It had relatable characters, it had cool action. I like the show Arrow, I really do, but I like the Flash better. It's more fun. So the Flash Season 1, have you watched it? What's your favorite episode? Whatever it is, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.